I am Dr. Soumyajalu, Professor of Computer Science and Engineering at National Institute of Technology, Warangal. Today's lecture title is Relational DBMS Support for Online Analytical Processing. In this lecture, we discuss three different kinds of concepts. The first concept is what is the support provided in the database management systems for online analytical processing. Then we discuss how to build data cube using SQL. Finally, we conclude this lecture by discussing different categories of OLAP tools. OLAP operators are shown on the slide. They are slicing, dicing, drill down, roll up or drill up, and then pivot. These 5 operators will provide easy access and flexibility for the decision maker to navigate the different kinds of aggregation by fixing hierarchy in each dimension. So these operators are very convenient set of operators for the end user. The purpose of slice is to focus attention on subset of dimension. Basically, it is used to replace a dimension with a single member value or with a summary of its measure value. Visual representation in a data cube allows intuitive manipulation. Usually, no query language exists for this operation. Another kind of operator is dicing, which imitates the selection operation of relational algebra sigma, whereas slicing imitates the concept of projection operator, that is pi of relation. The purpose of dice operator is to focus attention on a subset of member values. That means we can replace a dimension with a subset of members, so which is nothing but a selection operator. The third operator is drill down. The purpose of using drill down operator is to obtain a more detailed about a dimension. That means you can navigate for the more general level to a more specific level. The next operator is roll up. The purpose of using this roll up operator is to summarize details about a dimension. That means you can navigate from a more specific level to a more general level, which is a reverse process of drill down operation. And the last operator is pivot. The purpose of using the pivot is to present the data in different order. That means using this operator, we can rearrange the dimensions in a data cube. Normally, drill down, roll up and pivot operators are used for hierarchical based dimensions. Drill down adds detailed stage dimensions, whereas roll up removes the details from a dimension. As I mentioned earlier, the power of OLAP is to aggregate the information. For example, suppose I would like to know the total sales on a particular day, say. We can easily write, when the data is represented in the tabular means in the form of a two-dimensional table, then we can simply write select some amount from sale table where date is equal to 1. So basically it computes total sum of all these amount column values and then returns a single value called AT. Slice operator. As I mentioned earlier, the focus slice operator is only on a subset of dimensions. If you take a data cube with location, product over a time combination for measuring the total sales for each product across these 3 dimensions, and if you are interested in finding the individual sales at each location for each product on a specific date, say 1/1/2009, then what the slice operator does is, from a sequence of pairs, it takes out a 2-dimensional representation of the data by selecting a particular time dimension value as 1/1/2009. So if you have a data cube of the different layers, then slice operator ultimately gives the total sales for each category of product at each location on 1/1/2009. For example, the slide shows the individual values of total sales for each product over each location. If you observe here, there are 4 different kinds of products and 5 locations. So on 1/1/2009 in Hyderabad, the total sales of the type soda product is 80. Similarly, for the product type soda in Hyderabad is 110. Similarly, for lime soda it is 60. For orange soda it is 2. So that is to say, you are only, instead of showing the data on 3-dimensional cube representation, we are restricting our view of data only to a subset of dimensions, namely location and product, by considering only a particular date value as 1/1/2009. Second operator is dice operator. Focus of dice operator is on a subset of number values. That means it replaces a dimension with a subset of value. For example, the sales in the location Kolkata on 1/1/2009 can be obtained by applying the dice operator on the location Kolkata and the time value as 1/1/2009, then which gives a subset of values for a dimension. So dice on Kolkata using the result on the previous slice operation gives the result shown on the slide. Hyderabad total soda, diet soda, orange soda, lime soda values, namely 40, 90, 50, 30 and respectively. Dice operation normally follows a slice operation. Another kind of operation which is very widely used in SQL is how to aggregate the sales on each day. Suppose there are a set of dates here. Now I would like to compute the total amount on each date. We can easily write a simple SQL query using group by clause. So the slide shows the query, select date, some amount from sale, group by date. What this query does is it divides the data into 2 parts. one part is for date value as 1, another part is for date value as 2, then computes the total of AMT values for date is equal to 1. That is, in this example it is 81. Similarly, for date is equal to 2, which is 48. So there are other operators called drill down, roll up and pivot, which are basically used for hierarchical dimensions. The purpose of using drill down is to obtain more detailed data about the dimension. This operation is used to navigate the results from general level data to more detailed data. This can be realized either by stepping down concept hierarchy for a dimension or by introducing additional dimension. The slide shows an example how drill down and roll up works on a two-dimensional table. For example, if you compute the total AMT value on each date for each product, then in the original table we have 6 rows and 4 columns. When I execute an SQL query on this table, we get 3 rows and 3 columns because the query divides the total data into 3 groups. One group is for P11 combination, another group is for P21 combination, and another group is for P12 combination. So if you observe the result here, roll-up basically computes more higher level aggregation value, whereas drill down shows only the more detailed value. So this example is only shows for two-dimensional representation of the data. But how do we generalize this in more than 2 dimensions? When you have more than 3 dimensions, we should think in the form of a structure called cube. As I mentioned earlier, the structure of the data cube can also be represented in the form of an array. If you see the representation in the form of a multidimensional cube, the same fact table data can be converted into a multidimensional cube representation very easily. For example, the slide shows how the multidimensional cube is represented from the fact table data in the case of 2 dimensions. If you observe, for certain combinations in the multidimensional cube, data values may not be there. In that case, they are termed as sparse values. So sparse may be intrinsically present in the multidimensional cube representation, but whereas there is no sparsity in the case of tabular representation. How do we generalize this 2-dimensional representation into 3-dimensional cube? Suppose one more dimension is added, say store. In the tabular representation, simply we can add a new column with column name as store ID. But in the multidimensional representation, whenever new dimension is added, the physical structure array becomes a 3-dimensional array. So day 1, day 2, day 3, etc. So each day, the data is represented in the form of a 2-dimensional array. For example, here in day 1, we have 4 values. Similarly, all these 4 values for day is equal to 1 are shown in the first array. Day is equal to 2, the values are converted into the second array, like this. So, if the number of the days values are more, we have more different layers, one for each day. Here, remember, day 1, day 2 are shown here as database values for date attribute. If we generalize this kind of philosophy across the hierarchies of various dimensions, we will get different kinds of computation. All these computations are represented in the form of a physical structure called 3-dimensional cube. For example, there are 56 units of bread sold in a particular city on one day. Day-wise sales are shown here. Similarly, these are the store names and the product names are also shown on the slide. Roll up to a brand name are shown here. Roll up to region are shown here. And roll up to week are shown here. So that means to say, depending on the kind of hierarchy, we can do the aggregation the way the managers want. All the possible aggregations are computed and stored in the form of a structure for a better navigation and ease of access here. How to compute the total value for involving P1, S1, S2, S3 and P2, S1, S2, S3 combination over the date. So if you observe, the total value computed here is, this is for one-dimensional sum, and whereas the second one is total sales for each store for all products. So total sales for each store of all products is 56 plus 11, 67, 4 plus 8 is 12 for S2, 50 plus 0 is 50 for S. Whereas here, this gives total sales for each product. So it's the sum of product sales and each store. 56 plus 4 plus 50, that is 110. Similarly, 11 plus 8 is 90. So if you observe, the total sales for all products for all stores is nothing but 50 plus 110 plus 19 plus again 48, etc. So ultimately we get 129. I repeat, total sales for all products is for all stores is 110 plus 19, that is 129. But this 129 can be computed in several ways. 67 plus 12 plus 50 or 110 plus 19 plus 50 or in some other direction. So that means to say, the roll up and drill down over a 3-dimensional representation, how it is computed is shown here with an example. Now we should find a mechanism how to automatically determine this. Is there any power exists in the language SQL to do this computation? So the answer is yes. We have a powerful set of operators that are supported in SQL to compute these kind of aggregation. We will discuss how to compute this in the subsequent lectures. When you have the different kinds of data, then computation is performed at varied levels. So there is a notation used here. S1 P2 star means here the computation is performed over all days. So when you take P1 P2 over all days, P1 P2 at each store, total sales are 12 plus 44, that is 56. 11 plus 0 is 11. 0 plus 4 is 4. 8 plus 0 is 8 for S2. Similarly, 50 plus 0 is 50, 0 plus 0 is 0. So this computation, this cell 8 value states that the total sales at store S2 for product P2 over all dates are given here. In this example, of course, we have taken only 2 dates, but if you have 100 dates, the computation is done by taking the aggregation of the sales of S2 P2 combination on each day together. Similarly, this means sale S1 comma star. What is the meaning of this? This means that the total sales for all products on all dates in the store S1. So if you observe, already we know the products available here are only two, P1 and P2. So in store S1, there are two products. Already we have computed total sales for each product in S1. So by summing up this, we get 67. Similarly, the last one gives all sales. That means the total sales for all stores, for all products on all dates is 129. So a popular notation used in representing the summarization, or in other words aggregations, are represented in this fashion in OLAP. Star means all, and if there any value is mentioned here, that for a particular dimension value, the total computation is made. In a similar way, you can extend the argument by taking the dimensions over all dates. For example, sale star P2 comma star. This means the total sales for product P2 over all stores and all dates. So on all dates means on day 1, what are the total sales for product P2? Similarly, on day 2, what are the total sales for product P2? Similarly, for day K, what are the total sales for P2? And these total sales must be done for all locations here, for all stores. So for all stores, or all times is taken into account. So that means you are computing the sales for product P2 over all dates and all locations. Now if you observe this computation, we can easily compute this value by using SQL, by incorporating the appropriate attributes in the group by class. Aggregation can also be performed, as I mentioned earlier, using hierarchies. For example, store S1 say is in the region A, and store S2 is in the region B, and store S3 is in region B, say. Then if you want to compute the total sales for each region, then I can compute the total sales for product P1, what is in region A, and similarly the total sales for P1 in region B. So here what we do is we combine the sum of the sales in for P1 in S2 and S3 as region B here, because we hierarchically organize S2, S3 in one part and S1 is another part. So that means 56 or 12 plus 44 which are belong to region A, and 50 plus 4 are belong to region B. So you can do the aggregation also by using hierarchy. This example gives what is slicing. So in a 3-dimensional cube, when you restrict the dimension to a particular time, say day is equal to 1 as value for the attribute time, then the slicing gives a particular slice out of the set of slices. We can also combine the operations of slicing and dicing together. The slide shows how to combine the slicing and dicing together here in the form of a report called crosstab report. So far, we illustrated how to perform the OLAP operators on a 2-dimensional structure, and also how to equivalently write the SQL queries, or in other words, how to interpret the operations of OLAP in the form of SQL.
OLAP operators, and how can we simulate other OLAP operators? Is it possible to simulate using one OLAP operator? Can we simulate other OLAP operators? Is it possible to do so?
Are there any basic OLAP operators by which we can simulate other OLAP operators? So to answer this question, again I have to go back to our traditional database system and its power. Actually, the term basic or essential or traditional operators were used by a famous mathematician Caude in defining the relational algebraic operations. So in relational algebra, you all know that there are 5 basic operators. Maybe the student is asking the question in that perspective. The basic 5 operators are projection pi, selection sigma, Cartesian product cross, union, and minus. Why they are called basic? Because these 5 operators are very much essential in the sense that you cannot express any of these 5 operators in terms of the remaining operators. But of course, there are other additional operators like join, conditional join, outer join, natural join, intersection, etc. They are not basic because they are all expressed in terms of these 5 basic operators. Now coming to this question, as far as my understanding goes, there are no basic OLAP operators because the power of the OLAP and the functionality of the OLAP sits on top of database systems. Right? On top of databases, your data warehouses comes, Then on top of data warehouse only OLAP software or OLAP engine works. All these 5 traditional basic relational operators are supported in SQL. You all know that you can express every algebraic query involving any of the combinations of these 5 basic operators. I can find always an equivalent SQL query. Any DBMS package if you use, you can find the answer very quickly. But as far as OLAP is concerned, the so-called OLAP operators like slicing, dicing, pivoting, drill down and roll up, all these operators are in fact can also be derived by using the basic group by class of SQL. So that means all these 5 operators are extended operations along with the group by class functionality. So that is the reason why you cannot express any of these operators in terms of other operators like relational algebraic operators. So therefore, my answer to your question is, there are no basic operators, but of course are all OLAP operators mainly used for manipulating the data cube by the end users. In the sense that once the cube is available, I can manipulate the cube only by either cutting horizontally or vertically, or by rotating, or by moving from higher level to lower level, or from lower level to higher level. So in that sense, there are no basic operators for OLAP. But there are basic operators for relational algebra and also in turn for SQL.
So
Okay.
my question is, how does data cube is efficient in performing various aggregations in data
How
warehouse?
does data cube is efficient in performing various aggregations in data warehouse? As discussed earlier, data cube always provides fast access to pre-computed summarized data. This processing provides benefits for OLAP as well as data mining. The main reason of using such pre-computation is to reduce the response time and also to enhance the performance of OLAP. Because of high voluminous data that resides in data warehouses, computing aggregations for different levels on the fly takes enormous amount of time, and also there is a load on the data warehouse system. That is the reason why this pre-processing, or in other words, this pre-computation, greatly reduces the time to retrieve the result. In the sense that it increases the response time. How do we do? We can always do this by using the concept of materialization. So materialization helps to store the results. Highly pre-computed summarized data can be built in the form of a cube and then keep somewhere else to retrieve. Whenever the data warehouse administrator needs, they can always retrieve this computed data instead of running the queries on the fly. So that is why the efficiency of the algorithms in computing the cube are very important. So we discuss in the next lecture what are the different kinds of algorithms to do such kind of efficient processing. Is it clear? So I answered your question by telling why it should be efficient.
What is the purpose of the concept of hierarchy of a OLAP?
I understood your question. His question is, what is the purpose of using concept hierarchies in OLAP? Just now I gave the answer for the earlier question. The purpose of using concept hierarchies in OLAP is to allow the analysis of data at multiple levels of abstraction. For example, a hierarchy for month dimension could allow us to group daily sales into sales for each month, sales for each quarter, sales per year, sales per decade, etc. So here, month, quarter, year, decade are the concept hierarchies. So these concept hierarchies across these 4 levels acts as footprints. While building the aggregations, we always do the aggregation across these footprints. Each footprint is nothing but a level. So that's why using concept hierarchy, compute multiple levels of aggregation values over a combinations of dimensions. You can have one hierarchy or more than one hierarchy in each dimension, but at any point in time in a cube, we have to use only one kind of hierarchy. Next question.
Explain pivot operation with an example, and what is the effect of swapping the
Rotation is a synonym for pivoting. Pivoting changes the dimensional orientation of the report derived from the data cube. For example, rotating may consist of swapping of rows and columns, or moving one of the row dimensions into column dimensions, or swapping an off spreadsheet dimension with one of the dimensions in the page display. When you do the page display, it can be either to become one of the new rows or columns, etc. So we call this type of operation as pivoting. So to answer the second part, I'll take an example how pivoting behaves. Suppose if you take a data cube of 3 dimensions where time is 1 dimension, product is another dimension, location is another dimension. This is x-axis, this is y-axis, this is z-axis. X, Y, Z. X is location, Y is product, Z is time. By fixing one dimension, I can swap any 2. That is also called rotation or pivoting. Suppose I want to swap the location to this place and product to this place. That means I am swapping location and product. Whenever we swap, here if you observe, this is a 2-dimensional representation. For 1/12/2009, over various locations on different products. For example, 80 is the total sales of the type of product soda in Hyderabad. Similarly, 60 is the total sales of lime soda in Mumbai on 1/12/2009. The first layer is for first day, second layer is for second day, third layer is for third day, etc. So here, I want to swap these 2, which is called rotation. So by the moment when you say rotation, we need to swap the rows and columns. That means this column will become a row. Similarly, this column will become a second row. This column will become a third row. And the fourth column becomes fourth row. So when the rows and columns are swapped, date values are fixed. So only these 2 values are, it is a 5x4 table. 5x4 matrix now is going to become a 4x5 matrix. So how will you do? So first I am swapping. I am changing the dimension values now here, then here. Now I need to change also the values. So if you observe, this is the first column. This has changed to this row. First column is in the after swapping we get a first row with 5 values, whereas in the earlier case we have 4 values in a row, but we have 5 values now. Then similarly, second column becomes second row. Third column now will become third row. Fourth column becomes fourth row. So this is called pivoting. So here I explain with only a 2-dimensional matrix, now we have to analyze and think. Whenever these values are swapped to this place and this is swapped to this place, every layer every layer in a data cube is a collection of, a three-dimensional data cube is a collection of two-dimensional planes. Each two-dimensional matrix needs to be swapped. If I want to swap all three, then this is the explanation I gave only for the first day. The same kind of swapping needs to be done for the second day, third day, etc. on 31st of 2009. So this is called rotation. If there are no questions, let me conclude today's lecture. In this lecture, we discussed concepts pertaining to OLAP, concept of data cube, the operations associated with the data cube. It shows how to do the aggregation using OLAP structure. In this slide, from the smaller data cubes, a bigger data cube is constructed. For example, by taking 3 data cubes, one larger data cube is computed. Similarly, by taking the next 3, another large data cube is computed. By taking last 3, another data cube is computed. And then we are aggregating all the summarized information of all the 3 smaller cubes which are there at the middle level to a larger cube, so which is nothing but an aggregation. StarNet query model. The slide shows what is the meaning of StarNet here. This is basically used to query the multidimensional databases. A StarNet model consists of radial lines emanating from a central point. So here the radial lines, for example, over the time dimension are daily, quarterly, annually, where each line represents a concept hierarchy for a dimension here. For example, the concept hierarchy for customer consisting of only 1 footprint, whereas concept hierarchy for product consists of 3 footprints: product, item, product group, and product. Whereas the concept hierarchy for organization consisting of 3 footprints, namely salesperson, set of salespersons in a district, and set of districts in a division. Set of districts in a division and set of divisions constitutes an organization. So here the dots shown on the slide are termed as footprints. Each footprint is an abstraction level in the hierarchy, which are nothing but different granularities for use by OLAP operations such as drill up and roll up. So this is one of the popular model very widely used in OLAP processing for computing different kinds of aggregation across these footprints. That is the reason why concept hierarchy is a very important concept in OLAP processing. In this lecture, we highlighted the importance of data cube and how this data cube is used in building a multidimensional model and how to manipulate the data cube using the concept of OLAP operators. Title is Relational DBMS Support for Online Analytical Processing. In this lecture, we discussed 3 different kinds of concepts. The first concept is what is the support provided in the database management systems for online analytical processing. Then we discuss how to build data cube using SQL. Finally, we conclude this lecture by discussing different categories of OLAP tools. Aggregation is a fundamental part of data warehousing. To enhance the aggregation performance in data warehouses, most of the commercial database products are already enhanced the features of SQL. For instance, Oracle Database provides 3 extensions to the group by class. They are cube and rollup extensions to the group by class, grouping functions, and grouping sets expression. The cube, rollup, and grouping sets extensions to SQL make querying and reporting easier and faster. Cube, rollup, and grouping sets produce a single result set that is equivalent to union of all differently grouped rows. Rollup calculates aggregations such as sum, count, max, min, average at increasing levels of aggregation from the most detailed up to a grand total. Whereas cube is an extension similar to rollup, enabling a single statement to calculate all possible combinations of aggregations. The cube, rollup, and grouping sets extensions lets us to specify just the groupings needed in the group by class. This allows efficient analysis across multiple dimensions without performing a cube operation. Computing a cube creates a heavy processing load, so replacing cubes with grouping sets can significantly increase the performance. Now we will demonstrate the features of SQL for OLAP support with an example. The slide shows the crosstab report with various subtotals. Suppose a company has sales across the world and tracks sales by both dollars and quantities information. Because there are many rows of data, the queries shown here typically have tight constraints on their where clauses to limit the results to a small number of rows. Consider that even a simple report such as the one shown on the slide with just 9 values in its grid generates 4 subtotals. Half of the values needed for this report would not be calculated with a query that requested sum of amounts sold and did a group by channel description and country ID attributes. To get the higher level aggregates would definitely require additional queries. Database commands that offer improved calculation of subtotals bring major benefits to querying, reporting and analytical operations. I will demonstrate here how to execute the query to compute the subtotals using the features of SQL. To demonstrate the support related to SQL for OLAP, we are using the sample schema named as sales history, which was available in Oracle 10G software. Now right now we are at sample schema sales history. Suppose if I want to find out the total kinds of aggregations or all combinations of the 2 columns, namely channel description, which is named as channel underscore DESC attribute, and the country codes. When I execute this query, we get a result like this. So in this result, if you observe, there are 2 countries, FR, which stands for France, US stands for USA, and there are 2 different kinds of channel descriptions, namely internet and direct sales. If you analyze the output of this query, we have 9 rows as a result. In this, the top row gives the total sales over all combinations of the 2 countries, namely France and USA, across the channels, namely internet and direct sales. In addition to this, this query also gives the sales for each country. For example, the sales for the country France over all channel descriptions is equal to 70,799. Similarly, the third row gives the total sales for the country US over all channel descriptions, that is 762,425. Whereas the fourth row gives an output which is nothing but the total sales for both the countries for the channel description internet. Similarly, this row gives the total sales over all the countries for the channel description direct sales. Rollup extension to group by class. Rollup operator computes subtotals by using the grouping columns mentioned in the group by class of SQL. The subtotals gets rolled up from most detailed level to a grand total. The SQL query without using rollup operator needs to apply union all construct to various subqueries. Rollup enables a select statement to calculate multiple levels of subtotals across a specified group of dimensions. It also calculates a grand total. Rollup is a simple extension to the group by class, so its syntax is extremely easy to use. The syntax for the rollup operator is select etc. group by rollup grouping column reference list. The rollup extension is highly efficient, adding minimal overhead to a query. The action of rollup is straightforward. It creates subtotals that roll up from most detailed level to a grand total following a grouping list specified in the rollup class. Rollup takes as its argument an ordered list of grouping columns. First it calculates the standard aggregate values specified in the group by class. Then it creates progressively higher level subtotals moving from right to left through the list of grouping columns. Finally, it creates a grand total. Rollup creates subtotals at n plus 1 levels, where n is the number of grouping columns. When to use rollup? We can use the rollup extension in tasks involving subtotals. This operator is most suited to perform aggregation of data across hierarchical categories such as time and horizon. For data warehouse administrators using summary tables, rollup can simplify and speed up the maintenance of summary tables. The slide shows the SQL query involving rollup operator over the attributes channel underscore DESC, calendar underscore month underscore DESC, and countries underscore ISO dot code. When we execute this query, we get a result with 15 rows. Now I will demonstrate the interpretation of all these answers for the query which we have executed. When you see the output of this query returns 4 different kinds of rows. The first one gives regular aggregation rows that would be produced by group by without using rollup. They are row 1, row 2, again row 4, then row 5, then row 8, row 9, 11 and 12. So what is the meaning of this? This gives a normal group by class result. Then second category of rows are first level subtotals aggregating across countries ID for each dimension across country ID for each combination of channel description and calendar month. So here channel description and calendar month combination are taken, and for each country the total total sales over these combinations are shown. So they are row number 3. If you observe row 3, the combination of internet and the calendar 2000 month 9 is given here over combination of all countries. So here there are 2 countries, so the total sales is this plus this is this, which is the first level aggregation. In a similar way, you can understand the similar explanation for row 6, 10 and 13. Then the third category of rows are second level subtotals aggregating across calendar month description and country ID. That means this one plus this one, these two. So row number 7 and 14 are belong to the category of this summarization. And finally, the last one, which is grand sales over all combinations of the subtotals. What is the meaning of partial roll-up and how do we execute queries in SQL when this kind of facility is used? Whenever you want to include only the desired subtotals, instead of including all the subtotals, we use partial roll-up. The syntax for partial roll-up is group by expression 1, comma, roll-up combinations of the attributes. So this facility helps us to create only the aggregations on the desired levels of subtotals. We now demonstrate how to use partial roll-up. As I mentioned, this is an example for partial roll-up. If you observe the query, in the earlier example, we gave roll-up over all the 3 attributes. But whereas here, we would like to compute only the combinations of desired subtotals for these columns, namely month description and country codes combination only. In that situation, as I mentioned earlier, the syntax for partial roll-up is within the group by class, we must list only those attributes that requires the desired subtotals. Now suppose if we execute this query, then we get a result with 14 rows. Whereas in the earlier query, we got 15 rows as a result. Like earlier explanation, first level subtotals aggregating across country ID for each combination of channel description and calendar month description. Second level subtotals aggregating across calendar month description and country ID for each channel description value. But if you observe here, this query doesn't provide a grand total row because it is a partial roll-up. We now discuss how to use cube extension to group by class. The syntax of the cube operator is same as roll-up, but in the group by class, we need to mention the keyword cube instead of roll-up. For instance, a query using cube operator can be expressed in terms of roll-up. Cube generates all subtotals that could be calculated for a data cube with specified dimensions. If you take, say, for example, 3 dimensions, time, region, department, and if I apply cube function over 3 dimensions, the result set will include all the values that would be included in an equivalent roll-up statement plus additional combinations. If n columns are specified in a cube function, we will have 2 to n combinations of subtotals as output. Using cube in any situation requiring cross-table reports, if you consider the data needed for cross-tabular reports can be generated with a single select using cube. Like rollup, cube can be helpful in generating summary tables. Note that population of summary tables is even faster if the cube query executes in parallel. Cube is typically most suitable in queries that use columns for multiple dimensions rather than columns representing different levels of a single dimension. For instance, a commonly requested cross-tabulation might need subtotals for all the combinations of month, state and product dimensions. These are 3 independent dimensions and analysis of all possible subtotal combinations is commonplace. In contrast, a cross-tabulation showing all possible combinations of year, month and day would have several values of limited interest because there is a natural hierarchy in the time dimension. Subtotals such as profit by day of month summed across year would be unnecessary in most analysis. This slide shows the syntax of the cube function. As I mentioned earlier, instead of rollup, we need just to mention only cube. Other parts of the syntax is same as the rollup. Now we'll demonstrate how cube works. in SQL. In this query, we have used group by cube over 3 attributes, namely channel underscore description, calendar month description, country underscore ISO underscore code. So here we are doing the subtotals over all the 3 combinations. When I execute this query, we get different kinds of subtotals. So this query gives the subtotals over 2 to the power of 3 combinations. Like partial rollup, Cube also provides a mechanism to print only the desired subtotals. Such a facility already exists in SQL with the name called partial cube. Partial cube resembles partial rollup in such a way that it can limit it to a certain dimensions and precede it with columns outside the cube operator. In this case, the subtotals of all possible combinations are limited to the dimensions within the cube list given in the parenthesis, and they are combined with the preceding items in the group by list. Now I will demonstrate the partial cube computation using SQL. Suppose if you have 2 dimensions, the syntax example calculates 2 into 2, that is 4 subtotals. One is the subtotal for the 3 expressions EXPR1, EXPR2 and EXPR3. Then second one is subtotal for EXPR1, EXPR2 and another subtotal for EXPR1 and EXPR3, and then finally subtotal for EXPR1. Now we will demonstrate how partial cube works with an example. In this example, there is a partial cube over the combinations of 2 attributes, namely calendar underscore month underscore description and country underscore ISO underscore code. So it computes all the combinations of these subtotals and it appends with the channel description. So that means we get subtotals for channel description, calendar month description, country underscore ISO underscore code description combination, then channel description. This gives partial cube demonstration. When we execute this query, we get a partial cube and the number of rows returned here are 18, whereas in the earlier example it more than 18. This result gives the subtotal for channel description, calendar month description and country code combination, first category. Then second category of subtotal is channel description with calendar month description combination. Then another subtotal for channel description, country code combination, and then subtotals for our channel description only. Now we discuss certain additional features related to cube. Can we compute subtotals without using cube? So the answer is yes. Just as for rollup, multiple select statements combined with the union could provide the same information gathered through cube. However, this might require many select statements. For an n-dimensional cube, 2 to the n select statements are needed. In the 3-dimensional example, this would mean issuing select statements linked with union all. So, many select statements yield inefficient processing and very lengthy SQL statements. Consider the impact of adding just one more dimension when calculating all possible combinations. It increases the number of select statements to 16. The more columns used in the cube class, the greater the savings compared to the union all approach. This is the advantage that we get using the extensions of group by statements, namely rollup and cube. Grouping sets expression. For more flexibility than provided by the cube and rollup operators, you can use the grouping sets operator. When you use the grouping sets operator, you explicitly specify the combinations of columns for which you need totals. In contrast, the specification of subtotals is implicit in the case of cube and rollup extensions. The grouping sets operator is appropriate when precise control over grouping is needed. If explicit control is not required, the cube and rollup operators provide more precise specification. For example, the grouping sets operator involves subtotals over two dimensions, say A and B, then you can denote only a certain desired combinations of these dimensions by using grouping set operator. Now we demonstrate how to use grouping set operator along with decode function in SQL. When we execute the query involving cube along with decode and grouping function in SQL, we get a result with 9 rows. If you observe in this result, there are no nulls. Nulls are replaced with grouping function. For example, here decode grouping country ISO code function is used here. The meaning of this is when the country code is true, that means it is null, then the value multi-country sum is inserted into that cell. Otherwise, a non-null value is printed. For example, in the first row, we are using the total sales of both the countries in the country column. So since the value is null, this is replaced with multi-country sum string here. If it is not null, the actual value gets printed. So in a way, decode is a function basically simulates the if statement. What are the challenges with the use of rollup and cube? The different kinds of challenges are depicted on this slide. The first one is, how can you programmatically determine which result set rows are subtotals? How do you find the exact level of aggregation for a given subtotal? Is there any way to determine which rows are the subtotals? What happens if query results contain both stored null values and null values created by a rollup or cube functions? All the problems can easily be handled in SQL by using a popular function called grouping function. This function takes a single column as input and returns 1 when it encounters a null value created by a rollup or cube operation. That is, if the null indicates the row is a subtotal, grouping returns a 1. Any other type of value, including a store null, it returns 0. Now we demonstrate the grouping function. When we execute this query, we get 3 different view columns as output along with the rows which are computed by using group by class, this column. The value of this column is 0 if month name is printed here. If we use aggregation here, when the month name is not printed, that means it is a clue for the system that it is an aggregation. Whenever it is an aggregation, it returns a value 1 here. Otherwise, it prints 0. So by mixing grouping and decoding functions together, we can provide a better readability for the output, because in this there are some nulls exist. So I can fill these null values by using decode function. So that we discuss the second topic of today's lecture, namely how to build a data cube using SQL. As we discussed in the earlier lecture, a data cube is a collection of different cuboids. If you have n-dimensional data cube, then we will have 2 to the power of n cuboids. And also we stated that a data cube is a lattice of cuboids. So each cuboid can be represented in SQL using group by class. By using the features of rollup and cube extensions of SQL, we can build any kind of data cube by using union all operation. That is to say, union of all the different cuboids with various aggregations over the combinations of dimensions gives you a data cube. Therefore, building of a data cube using SQL is quite simple, because the language already is equipped with the basic extensions for computing the various combinations of subtotals. If I use a cube over 3 dimensions, say A, B, C in group by class, then group by class builds a data cube over all the combinations of ABC. Suppose if this extension is not supported in any of the DBMS, then you can use union all operation to combine all the 8 SQL subqueries into a single query. By using union all, we can combine all these 8 subqueries over the combinations of the three dimensions, namely A, B, C. So therefore, building a data cube in SQL is quite simple in the sense that you need to integrate the results of all the subqueries into a single query. That is possible by adding a dummy column and also by appropriately naming the attributes, values with the decode function. So therefore, data cube can be easily constructed using the facilities of decode function and by enforcing the union compatible property for all the combinations of the cuboids. We now discuss the last topic of today's lecture, different categories of OLAP tools. Categories of OLAP tools. OLAP tools are categorized according to the architecture of the underlying database. In the literature, there are three different categories of OLAP tools exist today. They are multi-dimensional online analytical processing, relational online analytical processing, and hybrid online analytical processing. We now discuss the features of each category of these tools. Multi-dimensional online analytical processing. In this, it uses indexing mechanism directly into a multi-dimensional database. In general, an OLAP application treats the data in a multi-dimensional view. The user can able to view different aspects of data aggregates, grouping over all possible combinations of data reflected, and stores the results in a compressed format into the multidimensional arrays. This multidimensional array can also be viewed as cubes. MOLAP tools directly access each cell in a multidimensional array. Because of indexing, it is much faster than ROLAP. If the data is stored in relational database, it can be viewed as multidimensional, but only by successively accessing and processing a table for each dimension. MOLAP is very flexible data source for low dimensional data sets. The disadvantage of using this MOLAP is it takes lengthy processing steps for data load operations, specifically for high dimensional data sets. Sometimes this MOLAP approach may also introduce data redundancy. MOLAP provides excellent performance when data is used as designed and the focus is on data for a specific decision support application. Of course, it requires tight coupling with the application layer and presentation layer. Also, APIs are available for this type of tools. The typical architecture of the MOLAP tool is shown on the slide. Whenever a request is made by using the end user access tool, MOLAP server MOLAP server accepts the request and presents the result directly to the end user if the result is already available in the cube. If the result is not exists, then it fires the request again back to the relational database server or legacy systems for processing and loading the request into the cube. Navigation and analysis of data is limited in MOLAP tools because the data is designed according to previously determined requirements. MOLAP products require a different set of skills and tools to build and maintain the database, and hence it increases the cost and complexity of the support. The second category of tool is known as ROLAP. ROLAP is the fastest growing style of OLAP technology. It supports RDBMS products using a metadata layer. It avoids need to create a static multidimensional data structure and in turn facilitates the creation of multiple multidimensional views of the two-dimensional relations. To enhance the performance, some of the products use SQL engines to support complexity of multidimensional analysis. The traditional architecture of the ROLAP is shown on the slide. Data processing may take place within the database system, a mid-tier server or the client. In a two-tiered architecture, the user submits SQL query to the database and receives back the requested data. In a three-tiered architecture, the user submits a request for multidimensional analysis and the ROLAP engine converts the request to SQL for submission to the database. Then the operation is performed in reverse. The engine converts the resulting data from SQL to a multidimensional format before it is returned to the client for viewing. As is typical for relational databases, some queries are created and stored in advance. If the desired information is available, then the query that query will be used, which saves the time. Otherwise, the query is created on the fly from the user request. A database which was designed for OLTP is not function well as roll-up database, and it requires more processing time and disk space to perform some of the tasks that multidimensional databases are designed for. However, roll-up supports larger user groups and greater amounts of data and is often used when these capacities are crucial, such as in a large complex department of an enterprise. Especially, roll-up tools are better at handling non-aggregatable facts than MOLAP tools. Then the third category of roll-up, hybrid OLAP tools. So hybrid is a combination of relational OLAP and multidimensional OLAP. This was developed to combine the greater data capacity of roll-up with the superior processing capability of MOLAP. OLAP can use varying combinations of roll-up and MOLAP technology. Typically, it stores data in both relational database and a multidimensional database and uses whichever one is best suited to the type of processing desired. The databases are used to store data in the most functional way. For data-heavy processing, the data is more efficiently stored in a relational database, while for speculative processing, the data is more effectively stored in a multidimensional database. OLAP users can choose to store the results of queries to the multidimensional database to save the effort of looking for the same data over and over, which saves time. Although this technique called materializing cells improves performance, it takes cost on storage. The user has to strike a balance between the performance and storage demand to get the most out of OLAP. Nevertheless, because it offers the best features of both OLAP and roll-up, OLAP is increasingly preferred. In this lecture, we discussed two different concepts. One is the relational DBMS support for OLAP, and the other concept which we discussed was how to build a data cube using SQL. Thank you.